Hey everyone, this is Northern Pattern. Today we're looking at the weather pattern that will be shaping Canada over the next week from coast to coast. I'll break down the big picture, then touch how it affects each region across the country. This week, the dominant pattern across Canada features a ridge of high pressure building over Western Canada, bringing warmer than normal temperatures, especially over the prairies and parts of British Columbia. Meanwhile, in central and eastern Canada, active winter systems are lingering, with colder air and periodic snow chances. That warm ridge over the west is allowing Pacific air to stream inland, producing a noticeable warm-up, especially across southern Saskatchewan and nearby areas. Environment Canada has noticed this ridge has been stubborn and holding in place, leading to the warm pattern extending through much of the week. Down in the central and eastern parts of the country, winter weather systems are still influencing the pattern. A classic winter Alberta Clipper system is forecasted to move through northern Ontario later this week, enhancing snowfall and bringing sharply colder air behind it. In the west, especially across British Columbia and Alberta, that high pressure ridge that we were just talking about will keep temperatures above normal later this week. It's not a heat wave, but areas like southern Alberta and southern BC could see extended milder conditions compared to average. Just be aware, even with the milder air aloft, mountain snow remains a factor at higher elevations this time of year, and local systems can still produce snow in the Rockies. And again, and as you see as we're going through that week, that nice high pressure ridge right here is still just sitting. It's parking itself, like I said, near southern British Columbia, Alberta, and the more western parts of Saskatchewan, and it's there for a good chunk of the week before that cold air tries to fight it, but it's still holding on pretty stubbornly in the area. Across the prairies, that strong ridge produces a noticeable warm up, especially in places like southern Saskatchewan, where the forecast calls for warmer temperatures well above typical winter values. This unusual warm stretch is tied directly to the persistent high building over the west. However, again, if we look in the later part of the week, we're just gonna jump over here to the weather. Tuesday going into Wednesday into Thursday into Friday, we are going to notice that a active Alberta Clipper moving through later in the week. This will bring heavy snowfall and again a sharp temperature drop, and you'll notice the difference in temperature as the week goes on. So, meaning that the prairies will shift from mild to wintry again by late in the forecast period. For Ontario and Quebec, the main story this week will be cold air and snow potentials on the backs of the Alberta Clipper system that we saw moving through the prairies. Northern Ontario, especially, could see significant snow accumulation, and winds behind the system will bring a flash freeze and colder conditions. Again, last week we saw that the Ontario and Quebec warmed up quite a bit, and we will see that as we go into the early parts in the week, but don't let that quote unquote warm up fool you. We are noticing again as we go from Wednesday into Thursday a significant drop in temperature. We go from just looking at Toronto, Ottawa, Quebec, from 4 degrees on Wednesday to a significant drop of -12. So just again, there is a flash freeze warning for that as well. So again, just being careful with that. And again, just looking at the weather, we're noticing up near just past Sandy Lake and into Thunder Bay that Alberta Clipper system is moving through and will bring significant snowfall into the northern Ontario region. And we're also looking at some snow up in northern Quebec near the Labrador and Atlantic Canada. And finally, we move over to Atlantic Canada, has a more variable pattern, and again continues with chances of periods of snow and mixed precipitation typical for this time of year. Eastbound systems may bring bursts of snow, especially over Newfoundland and parts of Nova Scotia. And again, we are looking at from Monday to Tuesday, and again into Wednesday, we're noticing a little bit of a warm up for Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. Again, that warming pattern that we saw move through Ontario is also moving through Atlantic Canada. But come Friday, the temperatures move back into their more seasonable range. And again, we're going to look at the weather for the area as well. Moving back into Monday, we're noticing spots of snow accumulation and mixed precipitation here and there from Monday into Thursday and Friday. And again, just to wrap up, so what's the pattern to take away here? So again, we're looking at that western ridge out west near BC, Alberta into Saskatchewan. Warmer than normal air continues through much of the week. Central systems, we have the Alberta Clipper bringing snow and colder air later on, and then eastern Canada unsettled with snow showers. Overall, we're in a classic winter pattern with an active jet stream influencing and pushing systems across the country. And something to note, it's actually quite fascinating to see. As you see the system, we see this nice ridge right here, and it's this nice ridge pushing into BC and Alberta, and this nice trough just dipping down right here. This ridge up here is pushing that Arctic air that's normally sitting up here and forcing it down through Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec. So that's actually kind of cool to see. All right, folks, that's your weekly snapshot of the Canadian pattern. If you want a deeper look at how systems like this evolve, or a simple explanation of why ridges and clippers behave this way, let me know in the comments or hit subscribe to stay updated.